What's up, YouTube? Alexander here. Today I have a video on the best cards from the Duelist Alliance. So let's get into it. First of all, Felice Lightsworn Archer. She's really good because she's like a wolf, except she can pop a card, and that's really good to see. I'll read the effect. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned by a card effect, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card is sent from your deck to the graveyard, special summon it. You contribute this card, then target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it, then send the top 3 cards of your deck to graveyard. So I really think that it has some utility in Lightsworn deck, maybe 1 or 2. Next, Spicy Curry. It's probably not the best one, but I just think it has some utility. If this card is normal summoned, look at one random card in your opponent's extra deck. If that monster has 2,000 or more attack, this card gains 1,000 attack. Otherwise, you gain life points equal to that monster's attack. So it has some utility. I don't see it being played, but at more than one, or maybe in the side deck, depending on what deck they're playing. Next, Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. We all know this card, but I'll go over the effect anyways. You can use each pendulum effect of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon once per turn. You take no battle damage from attacks involving pendulum monsters you control. During the end phase, you can destroy this card, and if you do, add one pendulum monster with 1,500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, and then his effect is any battle damage your opponent takes from attacks involving this card, and an opponent's monster is doubled, so that's pretty good. Next, we got the Shadow Fusion, along with the 2 fusions, El Shadow Midrash and Nephilim. So those are pretty good. And I think this card has some utility and maybe Hatch, I don't know. So let's just go over it. You can set this card from your hand to your spell and trap card zone as a spell card. When this card is set in your spell and trap card zone, is destroyed and sent to the graveyard during your opponent's turn, special summon it. During your player's turn, when a card effect is activated that would destroy a spell or trap cards you control, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can return one spell or trap card you controlled to the hand, and then special summon this card from your hand. So you bounce the card, like if they try to MST and you maybe have a set Mirror Force or Trap Tricks, Trap Hole, Nightmare, then you can bounce it to the hand instead of destroying it and special summon Chakram. That's pretty good. Next up, Resonance Insect, and I think someone might be able to find a way to make this good in Inzektor's. I'll read its effect. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one level 5 or higher insect-type monster from your deck to your hand. So that means you can search off Gigamantis. And then, if this card is banished, you can send one insect-type monster from your deck to the graveyard, except Resonance Insect. I don't know how you would banish it, but I still feel like it's pretty good in Inzektor's. Next, the 3 main Stellar Knight monsters, Vega, Altair, and Deneb. Those are pretty good because those are the main cards you'll be playing. Next up, 9V. I think this will make Battery Mana more broken. Its effect is when this card is summoned, you can add one battery monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, this card's attack and defense becomes double the original attack. So basically, what you would do is like you can call the Haunted it, you can Battery Man or Battery Charger it, and then you'd get the search, and then it's destroyed during the end phase. So it gives the searching ability, which gives it more chance to get your combos for the OTKs. Next up, Arcfiend Eater. I think that this will be pretty good in Hat Tricks or any hand deck. You can only control one Arcfiend Eater. If you control a spellcaster type monster, you special summon this card from your hand. During your opponent's end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one face of monster you control, destroy that monster. And if you do, special summon this card from your graveyard. So like you can pop a hand monster or something, and then you can go kind of plus. Next up, Severa. Oh, and then you can like with Arcfiend Eater, you can like X-Z with it, and then put it in the graveyard, and you can keep on bringing it back. Same thing with synchroing with it or anything like that. Next up, Saphira the Dragon Princess. And this is really broken. I think like it would be good in Saphira Heretics. You can ritual summon this card with Hymn of Blessing. You only use the effect of Saphira the Dragon Princess once per turn. During the end phase of the turn that this card is ritual summoned, or during the end phase of a light monster sent from a hand to the graveyard, from your hand or deck to the graveyard, while you control this face-up card, and activate one of these effects. Draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. discard one random card from your opponent's hand, or add one light monster from your graveyard to hand. So this can continually abuse Honest, which is really broken, I feel, and also it can add back any of your Heradic monsters. And then the Hymn of Blessing, of course, that you use to summon it. And of course, this card is used to ritual summon Saphira, the Dragon Princess. Tribute monsters from your hand and or on the field whose total levels equals 6 or more. So you tribute the Heradic and then you get the normal. If ritual monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So it protects her, and it allows you to summon her, so that's good. Next up, Space Time Trap Hole. When your opponent special summons monsters from their hand and or action deck, shuffle into the deck that monsters that were special summoned from the hand or action deck. Then you lose 1,000 life points for each monster returned. So it's a good card, and I mean, it stops pendulum summons and everything, but I wouldn't suggest using it with Soul Charge because it would be too much of a hefty cost with Space Time Trap Hole and also Soul Charge, so you probably won't have enough life points to Soul Charge or to use Space Time Trap Hole. Next up, Chain Dispel. When a spell or trap card is activated, destroy all cards in the controller's deck with the same name as that activated card. So like if you're going up against Lightsworns, if they activate Solar Recharge, you can just destroy the other Solar Recharges. Or Soul Charge, which is another key card in the meta right now. And you can even destroy pendulums, so that means less pendulums they have for their pendulum summons. Like you could destroy Time Gazers or whatever. Alright, for the extra cards, El Shadow Midrest. I think this is also going to be a foil. And must first be fusion summoned. This card cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Neither player can special summon more than once per turn. This card sent to the graveyard, you target one shadow spell and trap card in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. So that's pretty good, and along with El Shadow Nephilim. Next up, Dante the Traveler of the Burning Abyss. This is actually going to be a TCG exclusive. I'll go ahead, and this is secret rare too. I'll read this effect. 2 level 3 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 1 extra Z material from this card and choose a number from 1 to 3. And send that many cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard until the end phase of this turn. This card gains 5 attack for each card sent to the graveyard this way. So it's basically a card trooper. If this card attacks, it is changed to defense position at the end of the battle phase. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Burning Abyss card in your graveyard, except this card, add it to your hand. So, like, if you go to 25 attack, then you attack, and then you go to becoming a 25 defender, which I really like. Next up, the Stellar Knight Delteros. 3 level 4 monsters. While this card has extra Z material, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. When you normal or special summon a monsters once per turn, you can detach 1 extra Z material from this card, then target 1 card on the field, destroy it. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special 1 Stellar Knight monster from your hand or deck. So like in a Stellar Knight deck, it's really good because then you can just use these guys to summon up and get 3 really fast, because you can go Vega into this, and then into this, and then overlay them into this, and then he goes to the graveyard and you can get a free Stellar Knight. Next up, Samsara, Dragon of Rebirth. It's a level 5 synchro, 100 attack, 26 on defense, and its effect is, if this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 card in either player's graveyard, except Samsara, Dragon of Rebirth. Special summon it. You only use the effect of Samsara, Dragon of Rebirth. So you can loop this with like Light Pulsar Dragon. Light Pulsar Dragon dies, Rebirth comes back, and Rebirth dies, then you can bring back Light Pulsar, and then you'll have some defense if your opponent is going in for that kill play. I really don't see it being played at that much. Next up, number 58, Burner Visor. Here's his effect. Once per turn, during your player's turn, once per turn, you can either target 1 face-up XYZ monster you control, equip this card to that target, or unequip this card to that target and special summon it in face-up attack position. A monster equipped with this card can attack your opponent directly. When the equipped monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can discard 1 card to inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. So in a way, I think this is better than number 80, Rhapsody and Berserk, because you can unequip and the monster can attack directly instead of just gaining 1200 attack, which sometimes is better. Sometimes An extra 1200 attack can do a lot. Or maybe you can just play both in your deck and then maybe equip both of them to one monster, and then you have an extra 1200 and a direct attacker. Next up, this Castel, the Sky Blaster Musketeer. Basically, it's kind of a 101. I'll read the effect. 2 level 4 monsters. You can detach one excess email from this card, then target one face-up monster on the field. Change it to face-down defense position. You can detach 2 excess email from this card, then target one other face-up card in the field. Shuffle into deck. You only use one Castel, the Sky Blaster Musketeer effect per turn, and only once that turn. So, I really like this card because it just either flips it face down or it gives you an option to return it to the deck. So if you're kind of a budget player, this is probably going to be cheaper than buying a 101s. And it returns it to the deck, and it's still good. Finally, Pilgrim Reaper. Now I thought this would go in like Chaos Dragon decks or something like that, and I'll read the effect. 2 level 6 monsters. This card gains 200 attack and defense for each dark monster in any graveyards. You can detach one extra unit from this card, send the top 5 cards of each player's deck to the graveyard. You only use effective Pilgrim Reaper once per turn. So, like, this is a good card in a lot of decks that can make him, as long as they play darks and they love milling. But it's probably not going to be the best option against a Lightsworn matchup, because you're just going to help him out a lot. Hope you guys liked the video. Alexander, signing out.